I'm Cecília Amioka, and this is Logística Plus, Pluscargo Brasil's content platform to help you understand the foreign trade scenario. India is Brazil's fourth largest trading partner in Asia. Both countries share several similarities, social, political, geographical, and economic, which contribute to the optimization of this relationship over the years. To answer questions about the freight transportation process in India, I've invited Yashpal Sharma from Skyways Group. Yash, thank you so much for accepting our invitation.
Thank you, Ceci. It's a pleasure to be here.
Our audience wants to know a little more about the company's history. Please tell us about Skyways Group.
Firstly, bom dia to everybody in Brazil. Good evening to everybody in Asia. It's a pleasure for me to be here on this Pluscargo webinar, and good to see you again, Sissy. It's always great to see you in high spirits.
Yes.
So just a quick background on our group. Skyways Group was formed in 1983 by my father. We are a family-owned group. As part of the group, we have 11 group companies spanning various spheres of logistics. The largest of the group is the air freight company, Skyways Air Services Private Limited, which is the #1 air freight forwarder of India in terms of volume since 2017. So 17, 18, 19, and hopefully in 20 as well. We should be the #1 freight forwarder of India. We have a sizable ocean freight presence in India as well. We also have interests in the express industry, in the trucking industry. We also have an academy. We do have one of our group companies, a technology company. And on a group level, we are 700 team members for Skyways, spanning in 26 offices in India. We also have 2 offices in Bangladesh, 2 offices in Vietnam, and 1 office in Germany. I am the second generation. My brother is also part of the business. I joined this business in 1995, and it's been 25 years. As on today is my 4th year. I complete 4 years today of being the managing director.
Wow, congratulations.
Very much.
We're receiving information from various parts of the world about the lack of containers and space for shipping goods. How is the situation in India? Tell us.
Well, the situation is pretty similar what we see all around Asia. There is a huge shortage of containers in India, which has, it's kind of been a cascading impact ever since the lockdown started in the end of March, when there was a huge issue with regard to the turnaround of vessels, which led to some of the inventory getting stuck in consuming economies. And India also suffered because of lack of imports into the country. So all the inventory slowly began to move out. And because the imports dropped sizably in the month of April, May, and June, is why the inventory became extremely short in the months ahead. So there has been a slight little correction in the inventory, but we are still at least a 20% shortfall in terms of the inventory levels that we would like to have in India.
What's the importance of Brazil-India trade relations? 2020 was a difficult year. Did this relationship suffer, or was it strengthened?
Well, obviously, the 2020 has been a transformational year in relationships between all economies of the world. India, Brazil is no different. India and Brazil are very important trade partners. You already mentioned the importance of India and Brazil with regard to Brazilian business. Brazil is the 7th largest exporter to India, and I'm talking from Indian perspective, and it's also the 18th largest importer from India perspective. So it's obviously a very important economy for us. On a political side also, there's a great relationship, there's great regard on both sides. I think on the leadership front, the president of Brazil was here in India last year in the month of January on the occasion of our Republic Day. And there's been very close collaboration even in the pandemic with regard to the movement of various pharmaceutical goods to Brazil. And even now, India plans to export part of the couple of vaccines that we are manufacturing in India to Brazil. Brazil is one of the first economies which is going to receive the vaccine from India. The business in the last year has very slightly shrunk between the two economies. I feel there's approximately 7 to 8% drop in 2020 over 2019. But it's nothing too alarming, I would say. But I definitely see a slight little drop in the business between the two economies. I'm sure it's only temporary, and we will see business surging ahead in the months ahead.
Yes, hopefully. Can you comment a little on the particulars of the sea shipping in India? What are the main services provided by you and the partnership with Pluscargo?
Yeah, so overall the sea freight situation in India. India is a large country. We have a very large coastline, almost running 7,500 square kilometers. We have a strong manufacturing in the hinterland. So obviously we have 12 major ports and about 200 odd minor ports in India. The 12 major ports, 6 are on the west coast of India and 6 are on the east coast of the country. So very equi division of the ports in the country. The manufacturing is largely north, west, and south of India, and west happens to western ports cater to all the production on the western side and the northern side, and south of course takes care of quite a decent amount of South India production, as well as all the manufacturing that happens on the east coast, on the east part of India. So the rail network in India is pretty beautiful, and it's one of the most extensive. I think we are the second largest rail network in the world. Because there's a lot of manufacturing in the hinterland, so railways becomes very important for movement of goods in India, especially by ocean. And we see a lot of new routes being developed by India over the last couple of years to boost the network, not just on the rail side but also on the road side. We have new expressways coming up, which are giving boost to the logistics industries in general. The sea freight situation, obviously, there has been a big challenge last year with regards to India's service into Brazil. We had primarily 5 to 7 services which were operating from India into Brazil, and now what we see that these services have come down, and we only have about 3 to 4 services into Brazil. Multiple reasons, of course. The shipping lines are preferring other routes because they're making more money on them. But I'm sure that the way business is now getting scheduled in the times ahead, you will see more services operating from India to Brazil back again, maybe after a couple of quarters. But this is how I see the situation between India and Brazil.
Great. So it seems like India is still investing on the infrastructure for still keep the movement going. And Yash, what would you say are the main precautions that the company must take to do business in the country? Any special recommendations on documentations, deadlines, or any other country-specific item that you would like to put?
Yeah, so in general, India is a very diverse country consisting of people from all backgrounds, all religions of the world exist here. We have more than 22 regional written and spoken languages, over 2,000 dialects. So we are a very diverse country. And the working cultures in India are different from north to west. Even from a state to state, you would have different diversities of people trying to have different work cultures. So it's important that number one is to understand the various cultures when in the region that you transact in. One of the other things that I always constantly tell people is to do stronger background checks for the organizations that you work with. There are various small and medium-sized organizations whose financial diligence must be done by companies who want to work in India. Because you might have a situation where you work with a small partner or a smaller company, and they may not be able to, in the end, deliver because of their financial capabilities. So this is one thread that everybody in every industry, when they transact with India, should be a little watchful about. India does have a strong logistics setup. So in terms of air or ocean, I think we are at par with most countries in the world, and the documentation, etc., is pretty similar to what we see all around. The only thing that since Brazil is more typical in terms of its documentation requirement, so it's important that when any Brazilian organization, be it from a manufacturing or a logistics background, is working and transacting with somebody in India, they make sure that the company or the people on the India side are totally aware of the documentation requirements in Brazil. Because this is what we have seen. I know for a fact, because we've been working in the Brazilian market for many years, that the customs, etc., have very stringent rules and guidelines for documentation, and you don't want to end up paying penalties and getting into trouble. So it's important that that your partner in India is totally aware of the consequences, and they follow the entire SOPs which are set for working in Brazil. So this is an important factor that I think everybody must keep in mind.
Yeah, we face exactly the same here. We have to make sure that the partner knows the details that are needed to fill up the needs for the customs, right?
That's why it's important to work with Skyways. We have 15 years in the Brazilian trade lane.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And finally, Yash, we want to know, what can we expect from the commercial scenario between Brazil and India for 2021? Would you say any changes?
Yeah, so I see business will, on the shipping side, I definitely see over the next 2 quarters, the market to remain pretty status quo as to what you have seen in the last 3 months. You will see the container or the inventory situation in a very similar zone over this period. We are seeing influx of more imports to India, so the imports are growing, and which will help the normalization of inventory levels of containers in India. But over the next 2 quarters, I would recommend to all customers around the world to make sure that they are probably planning and coordinating with their logistics provider to work in advance with a proper planning, so that there is no challenge at the time of a movement of a shipment. And the business from India is definitely going to grow. The country is opening up gradually. Luckily the number of COVID cases in India are going down, which is helping the economies to open up. We had stringent rules in India, almost going up to October, that the number of people in a particular office could not go beyond 33 to 50%, depending on state to state, which is slowly getting a little relaxed. So which means better manpower will be available to work, which will in turn be able to produce on time, and the manufacturing will help to give boost to our business, and further up it will give boost to consumption, which will ensure that there is a business growth happening with every country, including India and Brazil.
Yash, once again, thank you for accepting our invitation and bringing so much great information to anyone who wants to do business with India.
It's absolutely pleasure, Cici. It's great. I'm extremely fond of Brazil, and I'm really excited to get back to Brazil the moment there is opening of flights, and I hope that we together are able to overcome this pandemic challenge and get back to the good old days of traveling around and meeting everybody.
Yes. Yash, Pluscargo is very fond of Skyways. Me, myself personally, very fond of you and our friendship. Thank you. Thank you for accepting our invitation once again. Now you can chat with Pluscargo's team on WhatsApp. We're waiting for you in this new channel. Thank you so much for the audience, and see you in the next episode. Bye-bye, you guys.
Thank you. Cheers. Goodbye. All the best.